Catch GurlTauX every day. Follow socials, here's the way.
GurlTauX, every platform come to play. Catch our vibe, don't delay.
Facebook, YouTube streams, scrolling through your daily memes. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun and see what GurlTauX is all about. Keeping it real, it's what we do. So tune in now and join our crew. Lights moving through the screen, click subscribe, don't be me. Upbeat chatter, it's our routine. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun and see what GurlTauX is all about. GurlTauX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere GurlTauX can be seen. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun and see what GurlTauX is all about. Update stories, laugh and cry. It's GurlTauX, so don't question why. It's the show that you'll adore. Come back daily to get some more. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun and see what GurlTauX is all about. GurlTauX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere GurlTauX can be seen. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what GurlTauX is all about. GurlTauX, log in now, watch our show. Likes and comments, let them flow. Every day we're on our way. GurlTauX show is here to stay. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what GurlTauX is all about.
Well, hello. It is Monday, and my computer is acting like it's Monday too. I just want to say that to start with. My computer is definitely acting like it's a Monday. So how is everybody today on a Monday? Like I said, my computer's acting like it's a Monday and didn't want to cooperate with me, so to speak. And I got to plug in my phone because my phone, I didn't realize my phone was so dead, but my phone is so dead. So if you want to call in to the show, you can do so. You have to just let me know you would like to call in, and I send me a message, and I can send you the phone number back. I wanted to talk about the things that are kind of bugging me is really what I decided to talk about today. Let's just be frank. Let's just be real. Let's just be us, Frank, myself, no script. I do have some Dear Margarets. Watching some of the news that comes out and some of the things that are being said, and what bothers me is when people don't do their research and then they just jump on a bandwagon of some other crap. You know, I've watched a lot of people just talking absolutely mad shit about the space flight. I have my feelings about it too, but my feelings are feelings and my opinion, but they're not, it's not a fact. What I do share is factual information, like what the trajectory was. What was the actual trajectory that they did and how they got to where they were, and the entire trip was 11 minutes. From launch to landing was 11 minutes. And people are claiming or saying they were only in space for 11 minutes. No, they were in space between 2 and 4 minutes. And it's as it's moving. Like, it doesn't stop and hover in space and just sit there for like 2 or 3, 4 minutes and then they launch it back down. No, it's literally in a path and it comes right back down. This is something that has similarly been done on aircraft that are heavily made to do this, where you can reach the weightlessness and stuff like that. Uh what's her name? Oh my god, how can I Martha Stewart. Duh. Martha Stewart did this back in 2007. So she was way ahead of the game, and it was a ride. It's an amusement park ride type of thing, sort of. It's just for the elite. It's not something that you and I, as an average normal person, it is something that only the elite can do. So when Gayle King says, "Well, have you gone?" No, bitch. Most of us don't have your money, or the clout, or the influence, or the connections to make that happen. Because I bet you anything, her girlfriend paid for it. And what bothers me is when people give false information, even if they're irritated or aggravated about it, and they spread this false information. Like, this is not one of the main topics that I was going to talk about, but the Pete Hegseth signal gate thing right now, again, that he put information out there, and it's going all over the place. But then if you track it back and you do the research, you find out that the source that alleges that this happened is anonymous and cannot be verified. Used to be, when I was a journalist, if we didn't have reliable source that was verifiable, we couldn't use it. Now, I have used anonymous sources in the past, but let me clarify the way that using an anonymous source used to work when I was a full-time journalist. The way that using an anonymous source worked is you had to meet them in person, you had to get something in writing from them, or and you just wouldn't release their name and information, but it was for legal purposes. So it went to our legal department or whatever. Also, usually my editor would require meeting with them and getting the information, because if we were sued for libel because it was false, we had to have something to back it up. And if you go to court and this person, so if this person's a victim, they can claim anonymous, but we do know who you are. We do actually have your name, and we do have documentation that proves what was said or done. So that is a different way of doing it versus the way the media does it today is just anonymous source, and there's no verification purposes whatsoever. There are big time reporters. Tom Brokaw, I believe, was fired many years ago for lying in stories because he was using anonymous sources, and it turned out they were him. He was the anonymous source. Therefore, he couldn't reveal who his source was because it was him, and he was just talking nonsense and making shit up. That's what's happening in a lot of these stories. And a lot of the misconceptions when someone, which I love Dave Rubin. I love him a lot. I really like his stuff. I've met him in the past when I had Mongol One Radio, all that stuff. But when he is debunking something, about the Carmelo case, and he's debunking something that, was said in this interview, and why we feel that he deserves to have self-defense. And the guy says that we need to be able to do it like Kyle Rittenhouse when we have video proof of him using an AK-47 and shooting 3 people in the back. He didn't actually say black, but he said 3 people. He insinuated that they were black. Many people think they were black. Many people have pushed that narrative. But when he comes back and he says, it was a different situation. They have video of him being chased and video of him being beaten, and he's on his back when he's shot, but he never clarified that it was not an AK-47, it was an AR-15, different type of weapon, and that he shot nobody in the back. He just moved on, that he was being chased. And yes, that's part of the story, but you still need to tell the other part of the story, where what was just said by one person, that he shot them in the back, that insinuates that he just went target practice out at this riot or whatever, when they were coming after him. And he didn't kill 3 people. He killed 2, and 1 lived, and he testified. And his testimony is what got Kyle Rittenhouse off, because he flat out said, yes, I was beating him with yes, I was doing that. Yeah, I did have a gun. And, one of the people shouldn't have even been there, shouldn't have even been part of this organization or whatever, because he was a convicted felon and he was a child molester. So, I mean, not that he had to tell all that information, but debunk the parts of the facts that he actually said were facts, where it was an AK-47 and he shot 3 people in the back and killed them. That's not factual information. Even based on the video proof, that is not what happened. So we need to clarify, and this comes from the left and the right. I want it to be clear, that what's my thoughts here? What I'm trying to get at, okay, I had to put my thoughts together, sorry. What I'm trying to get at is there are too many people that jump on a bandwagon. And there's another YouTuber that I do like. I would have to look his name up. I actually like him. But he talked about this as it kind of is a FAFO situation. And he was told, don't put your hands on him, and then he put his hands on him. I'm sorry, but don't say it's an FAFO situation. Nothing warranted pulling out a knife. And he was threatening him to begin with before the hands were ever put on him. And putting your hand on someone's shoulder or touching them in any way, shape, or form is not lethal force. Therefore, lethal force was not needed in retaliation. So it bothers me when people get on this bandwagon and they say these crazy things that, in my opinion, are not factual, and they look horrible. They look really bad, and it really bothers me that other people start running with it. They run with the same narrative, and they start spewing the same garbage as facts. What I want to see happen is, when we have facts, then we can share those facts, but share them as actual facts. Don't make up things like Tom Brokaw and then call it facts. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. Um, and for those people out there with the Blue Horizon or Blue Origin space trip mission, whatever, um, it's okay to say it was cool. It's okay to say it was neat. And I've said this myself. I would go if somebody paid me money to go, I'd go in a heartbeat. I'm not afraid of heights. I like rides. Um, I don't like those tall, just drop type of rides, but something like this where it would be controlled, yeah, I would do it. Other people who are talking about the fact that it doesn't have burn marks from reentry, well, that's because it didn't go through reentry. And the other people who are like, well, don't they always land in the water? Those are space missions, actual space missions. And so far, I think all the Blue Horizon um, ones or something like that, uh, from what I understand, all of the Blue Origin ones have been landing out in the desert. And that's because of the trajectory. Let me find my I'm going to share it with you guys real quick. Um uh let me find. Okay. Um let me find that picture real quick. I have it on my computer. Um Bothers me when I can't find something. Uh where is my Why don't I have my file folder on my desk? I don't Oh, there it is. Okay. Cuz I think it's in my downloads or something. Yeah, there it is. Okay, let me share this with y'all. Um, but I wanna share it for only because I want you to see um what this journey really looked like. And that it was a launch. It's not factual. Like people are like, "Oh, it didn't happen." No, it happened. It's just not they didn't go into orbit. Okay? They did not go into orbit. So, let's look at this one more time. I've shown you this before. New Shepard launches from launch site right here. And it goes up, and right here the rocket hits its point of maximum stress. Then it gets up to here and main engine cutoff. Now remember, when it starts down here, that's 0 time. Okay? Rocket hits point of maximum stress. And then here, main engine cutoff. And then here, capsule separates from booster. And then here, that's 100 kilometers. The Kármán line, which is 62 miles, and I misspoke the other day when I was talking about this and said feet, 62 miles above the Earth. Okay, so this right here is the Kármán line, and that's supposed to be 62 miles above the Earth. This is at the 3-minute and 30-second mark, okay? And the capsule passes the Kármán line and officially enters space. It is suborbital. It is not orbital space. Orbital space is another section they have to go through that breaks through into outer space. And so then it continues its trajectory and just keeps following this line. While this is following this line going overhead, the rest of the drag brakes deploy, the engine relights, and the booster touches down on the landing pad. This is 7 minutes and 30 seconds is this slip right here. And then so they're from the 3:30 mark, they float over here for just a few minutes in suborbital, between 2 and 4 minutes. The crew experience, it says 3 or 4 minutes of weightlessness, so it's technically like between 2 and 4 minutes. I think a total of like 4 minutes if it maxed out. But this is a natural, so they have no control over the timing for it. And they were not in control of this craft at all. It was controlled by the ground and it was remotely controlled. Okay. So that's another part of not calling it a crew. That's a part that bothers some people, myself included. They were passengers on Shepherd, not our New Shepherd. They were passengers. They were not a crew. So after they have done this part, it pops right back in and it just floats back down. When they get to about probably 1,000 feet from the ground or so, then the parachutes deploy and they deploy one, or they deploy, I think they deployed two, and then a third or fourth one pop out after that because it has to slow them. Or it might be one and then two and then a fourth one. So when it comes to parachutes deploying, I want to explain something to you all that you may not understand. So when you have a mass coming at a very fast speed, like it's like a jet car or a rocket car or a Top Fuel NHRA drag car. When those are going, I'm reaching over here for a reason. And the reason I know this is because my dad was a drag racer. Okay, so I know this information from factual information. When you deploy your parachutes, it causes a G-force drag. Like it pulls it back to stop it on the force that it's going forward. So for this, it's falling. So you put out, and I'm not sure how they deploy the parachutes, but I know for a fact they do not deploy all parachutes at the exact same time. It would be too much, too fast. Many years ago, one of my dad's friends was Don Gartlitz. If any of you know who Don Gartlitz is, he was Big Daddy Don Gartlitz. He was one of the most influential and biggest known. He was the king of drag racing. And so they have two buttons to deploy their parachutes. My dad had the same thing in his. So it's a single, the center one comes out, and then after you hit that one, you hit the other one, and the other two come out because it slowed you enough, and the other two can come out, and it continues the drag to help slow you down to get you to the stop safely. Well, Don Gartlitz accidentally deployed all three chutes at one time, and the G-forces in reverse that it hit and caused his car to stop so fast or slow so fast that it literally popped his eyes out of their sockets and they were on his cheeks. They had to put them back in surgically and repair his eyes. And they told him, if this ever happens again, you will be blind because it will rip them out. We can't keep them in as safe as they are naturally. So back to our little diagram here. So now they start to deploy their parachutes, whether it's one and then two and then a second or a fourth, or it's 1, 2, 3, because I did not look to see how many parachutes was on it. I think there was 3 is what I think there was. There might have been 4, not 100% sure. There was 4 when they did it with the astronauts, the actual astronauts that were saved from space that were stuck there for 9 months. So then it comes down and it does a hard, gentle landing. And the hard is it wouldn't put up that much dust and debris if it wasn't somewhat of a hard landing. but it was a hard soft land. It was a hard controlled landing is what they call it in aviation type stuff. So that entire journey, and we can call it a journey, that entire journey was 11 full minutes. New Shepard lands back on Earth at 11 minutes. So 0, 3:30, 7 something, back down. And this section here is probably the longest because it's slowing the speed of it down. Because I'm not sure what the speed it was actually going. So for them to call themselves astronauts, that can be disturbing. I don't think they should call themselves astronaut. Oh, my husband says, Squirrel, it's definitely a Monday. It absolutely is. I tell you what. And he said the same thing. He absolutely agrees. I would love to go, but surely can't afford it. No, and that's the thing that bothers me so much is like 90% of the people bitching and complaining about this stuff would take the trip if they were given a ticket. Like if we were given a ticket, but the difference is I would say I'm going on this cool ass ride. I wouldn't be saying that I was I certainly wouldn't be saying that I was flying to space. I wouldn't be saying that I was going to the moon. I wouldn't be
going on a rocket ship. We're not going to the moon.
I wouldn't be saying that I'm an astronaut. I mean, and some people are talking about the fact that, well, they didn't even have to wear helmets. It didn't even happen. Well, because of where they were going, they didn't need helmets. It's pressurized. The capsule they are in, the wiener head that they were in, or some people say it looks like a boob. When it's on the rocket, it looks like a big giant wiener. He was going after the apparently I think he was going after the what's his name? Oh baby. What's his name? How do I not remember it? Anyway, he was going after that because that was one of the rockets that was in what was it? Goldfinger. It was Austin Powers. Let me see if I can find that one. Okay, here there's a picture of the wiener rocket. Let's see. Let me see if I can pull this one quick. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can pull this up real fast. It'll be hard to see, but it'll be funny. That's all I know. It'll be funny. Let me pull it up on here. I want to share my screen. There we go. Add to my scene. There we go. Now we can watch this together. Here we go.
Colonel, you better take a look at this radar.
What is it, son?
I don't know, sir, but it looks like a giant...
Dick!
Yeah.
Take a look out of starboard.
Oh my God, it looks like a huge...
Pecker!
Oh, where?
Wait, that's not a woodpecker. It looks like someone's...
Privates! We have reports of an unidentified flying object. It is a long, smooth shaft, complete with two balls.
What is that? That looks just like an enormous...
Wang, pay attention.
I was distracted by that enormous flying...
Willie.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, it looks like a giant...
Wiener? Any of you kids want another wiener?
Dad, what's that?
I don't know, son, but it's got great big nuts. Hot, salty nuts. Who wants some? Lord Almighty.
That looks just like my husband's.
One-eyed monster. Step right up and see the one-eyed monster.
Hey, what's that? It looks like a big...
Woody! Woody Harrelson? Can I have your autograph?
Sure, no problem.
Oh, my Lord. Look at that thing.
So big.
I've seen bigger. That's just a little prick.
I had to show that because I thought it was pretty funny. I mean, we've all had those moments where we've seen some things that are pretty funny, and I still think it's amusing. So for these women, I still find it kind of amusing. So there's so many things that are going on in the news and going on that people are going bonkers over, that I've had quite a few people send me um Dear Margaret's in all these different categories. So we're not going to like stay on one specific category. We're going to move back and forth between them because I like to share what people have sent to me and go over these in my opinion, give my take on it, and then we can discuss it a little further after that. So this first one is, let me switch to this camera right here, and we will start. All right. Dear Margaret, Carmelo Anthony, a 17-year-old charged with fatally stabbing Austin Metcalf over a seating dispute at a Texas track meet, is being hailed as a victim by activists chanting "Justice for Carmelo." They're selling t-shirts even. Yet he's the one facing a first-degree murder charge, out on a reduced $250,000 bond, while Metcalf's family grieves. Why are groups like the Next Generation Action Network pushing this narrative? And how does it affect the real victims' loved ones when crowdfunding for Anthony's defense nears $500,000? Puzzled by the plot twist, your truth-seeking scribe. Okay, so I'm going to address that one because the thing is, there are people who are really pushing this narrative of what is happening and what is going on with this Carmelo Anthony situation. And I am going to bring up a video from I'm going to bring up a video from let me get to the right spot here. But I am going to it's so upsetting. It really is so upsetting. And the reason it's upsetting to me is because I feel like we have to be careful as Americans to not fall into this trap that I feel is being set to have a race war. I feel like it's a trap and we need to be very careful not falling for the trap, not falling into the trap and not becoming part of that.
It keeps getting crazier and crazier.
Sorry. I don't want us to get caught up with this baloney and falling into this trap of a race war. I feel like there are some
and crazier and crazier.
Stop playing when I didn't hit play. Thank you. But it makes me very concerned that we're falling in the trap of getting into a race war that none of us want to be in. And that race war is going to lead to a civil war. And we don't want to be in a civil war. We don't want to have a war on our own soil. So I'm going to play this from Officer Tatum for a reason. So let's listen to what Officer Tatum has to say.
It keeps getting crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier and more deranged and evil. You know, this turned into something bigger than what it should have been. Because when I say bigger than what it should have been, it shouldn't be so much controversy around the fact that a kid was charged for killing another person. And he was charged.
Absolutely. He was charged. So we need to realize that he's going to talk a little bit about it, but they don't automatically go to charges unless they have enough information to charge.
It's not alleged necessarily because he's charged. And when I say, let me break down alleged and charged, meaning that it's not just that somebody think that he should be charged, because there are cases where when there's a shooting, a stabbing, or deadly force was involved, someone has a claim of self-defense. After police review as much information as they can possibly obtain in the time period that they can obtain it, they'll make a determination. If there's self-defense present, they won't arrest you. They will follow up and arrest you after they do a thorough, more in-depth investigation. The fact that immediately they charged him with first-degree murder, that means that they have probable cause to believe. Probable cause in law enforcement terms mean that a reasonable person would believe that he committed this crime in the first degree. That's the burden that law enforcement officers have to have in order for them to arrest you and charge you. They can't just say, I think we should charge him with this because I feel like this is what he did.
Yeah, you can't charge based on feelings. You have to have facts and you have to have evidence to back it up. And one of the facts that is evident is when the officer was on the radio and he said, I have the alleged suspect in my possession or custody. I'm not sure how he said, or eyes on him or something like that. And Carmelo Anthony called out, it ain't alleged, I did it. So there is that.
They have to articulate on an affidavit. We used to call them a felony interim. This is what you give to the judge when you book somebody on a felony charge. In the affidavit or text portion, you have to articulate very clearly the elements of the crime. That means first degree premeditation. You have to show very clearly that you have probable cause to believe that he premeditated it, that he committed the crime. You can't just assume. You have to articulate, this is why I believe, based on the totality of circumstances, that this person, as a reasonable officer, I believe that this person committed this crime. If you do not have clear elements of the crime in your felony interim, the judge will throw your case out immediately. Police officers don't have to rush to charge somebody with first-degree murder. In these self-defense claim cases, they can wait. As long as you're not a danger to, they know where you're located, they don't think you're going to flee, they'll let you go, and they'll follow up, what we call long form. They'll follow up later when they have more information and go back and arrest you.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that that they did not do that to start with goes to show that they arrested him immediately and they charged him immediately was because of some of the information that was said by Carmelo Anthony himself and witnesses. The witnesses that were there in the tent at the time shared what they saw and what happened. And most of the witness testimonies and the witness affidavits and they took official witness statements. Almost every one of them is very similar. Other than the fact that one said he put his finger on him, another said he put his hand on his shoulder. But somebody said that after he was threatened, touch me and find out what happens, and he touched him, he said a second time, punch me and see what happens. And according to all the witness testimonies, or I shouldn't say testimonies, but witnesses' statements, he never punched him. And then there are people on the other side that are touting and trying to state that he was being literally beaten by Metcalf and his brother. And that's not what was actually happening, not according to any witness testimony whatsoever, nor is there any witness statements. And I'm going to clarify, statements, not testimony, because they haven't testified yet. But no one has said that they knew each other. And everyone said they didn't know each other. And the other side also saying that he had permission to be in there because his friend supposedly was on that other team. It doesn't mean he was invited in. Just because you know somebody that's on the other team or the other school does not mean that you actually have permission to be in their tent just because you know somebody. I mean, I know a lot of people doesn't even have permission to just walk in their house just because you know them. That doesn't give you permission to be in their area. So, and the irony of this kills me. So we're gonna listen to this next part real quick. But there is an irony here to the not being in the place you're not welcome.
As that was disrespectful and just shows you all the character who is not invited. He knows that is inappropriate to be near this family.
White people, I'm telling you, stop.
It's inappropriate to be basically where you're not welcome. Is that not what Carmelo Anthony did in the first place, is go to a place he wasn't welcome? And why are they treating the victim's father like he is the father of the killer? You know, they're treating this family as if they're the victims and Carmelo Anthony is the victim. You know, they're justice for Carmelo and t-shirts justice for Carmelo. And isn't that what usually happens when it's the person who's killed? It kills me. Let's continue listening to a little bit more of what Officer Tatum has to say.
Stop capitulating to black foolery. They ain't never gonna like you. They ain't never gonna be supportive of you. Secretly, they hate you. You let a situation rise up, they gonna pick the black person, right or wrong. This is what's happening right here.
Okay, and that is a big part of the problem with this narrative is what this whatever this guy's name is, I honestly can't remember his Dominique Alexander, NGAN president, that's his name. His speech, and this is why it's inciting this race baiting type of war issue that we have to be worried about having it starting to leak over into normal everyday people falling for this and getting involved in a possible race war. I don't want to be in a race war. I don't know about you, but I really don't want to be in a race war. It makes me really bothered by this. And I don't want us to get to a point where we are fighting a war amongst ourselves in this country. And if we fall for it, that's what's going to happen. So we can't fall for this tomfoolery that's happening and baiting us into a race war.
He has failed into is the political operatives that want to make this thing a political thing of hate, yet bigotry, and yet racism.
So there is this guy.
You mean like this guy that's doing it right there? This guy that's making it into a race war? That guy? You know, that Dominique whoever? He is the one that is doing this race baiting race war in itself. And it is kinda or I shouldn't say kinda, but it is absolutely disgusting. When he gets up there and he speaks, now, The judge did say that Carmelo was not allowed to be on social media, and people are calling out that he was on social media because his fake ass lawyer, whatever his name is, I guess he is an attorney. I don't know if he's an official attorney or not, but he's representing him. But when he posted, Carmelo Anthony is safe at home, and he took a picture with the kid. This movement is a reminder that a community united can never be divided. The journey ahead is long, but today we celebrate a victory for justice, for family, and for the power of people coming together to protect our youth. Thank you to everyone who stood with us. The fight continues. The fight continues, but tonight Carmelo is home. What concerns me about that, again, is they are making this out to be as if his actions were because he was a victim. Like he was not just did something for absolutely no reason. Another thing, when people talk about that he had you have the right to stand your ground in Texas or whatever. If you look at that law, it's referring to your home, your property. It's not referring to public spaces. A reasonable person, and that's where it goes when it goes to court. I used to be a police officer, so everything is about what a reasonable person would believe. Would a reasonable person believe that Austin Metcalf just putting his hands on you was demonstrating the threat of death that would require you to retaliate in kind? Or was he just asking you to leave? Could you have just left? And, there's so many other elements to this. I think that they hurt their case every time this man speaks, because he is speaking in a manner in which he absolutely should not be talking. He should not be sharing anything at all, because he doesn't sound like he has any form of education. I mean, he can't pronounce anyone's name. It's kind of ridiculous to me.
All I'm going to say, so it don't be asked later, is that was disrespectful and just shows you all the character who is not invited. He knows.
How is he not invited? It's a public press conference. A public press conference means it's a public press conference. Like anyone could go. The media was there. It was a public press conference. And why are they having a press conference to begin with? Like, Carmelo Anthony is not the victim. This family are not the victims or the family of a victim. They are the family of the killer. Why are they doing a press conference? Oh, why? So they can start a narrative that he is the victim so that a jury will not convict him. That's what they're trying to do. And that, to me, kind of makes me sick.
That is inappropriate to be near this family. But he did.
Isn't that something you would say? Isn't that something that you would say about the killer's family coming to the victim's family's press conference, or anything that they're doing based on, justice for Austin? What about justice for Austin? What about justice for Austin? Austin is the one that was killed. He was the one that was murdered. Let's not forget, he was murdered in cold blood because the kid just didn't want to go out in the rain. Come on.
And so I say to people, actions speak louder than words.
That's right. Anthony's actions were.
What he has failed into is the political operatives that want to make this thing a political thing of hate, yet bigotry, and yet racism. We have conservative operatives that have been posting nonstop about this case.
Okay, so who was the one that was making it political? Who was the one that's making it racial? From what I see in every news report out there, the one who's making it racial and the one who was making it about race was not the Metcalf family. It was this lawyer who we've all heard already. Was convicted of child abuse. It was in 2009 or 2007 or something like that. So, I mean, it was almost 20 years ago. Does it mean he could clean up his act? He could be a better person now? Sure, he could, but to me, I think he is in it for the coin. That's my opinion. I think he's in it for the coin, and I think he's doing it for the money because he sees this. I think he's a grifter. I think he's taking advantage of this family, and he's telling them, this is the route we need to go. This is the route we need to go. And I think that they are falling for it, and it saddens me.
Because these racist bigots try to prevent us from standing up for our baby, our boy.
That ain't your boy. You're being paid. Yeah, that's your boy. That's your boy. That's your baby. Your money, that's what it is.
He should be afforded the same rights that Kyle Rittenhouse had. Daniel Penna.
Kyle Rittenhouse. Not Kyle Rittenhouse. And what did he just say?
And all of the people.
What did he just say? What was the other one?
Daniel Penna.
Daniel Penna. His name is Penny. I mean, at least know who you're talking about and say their names correctly. That's disrespectful. Talk about disrespect. That's disrespectful. Can you not see that your words are disrespectful? It's disrespectful for you to talk about this man that showed up there with a generous heart, because when within hours of this incident, he said, I forgive him. He made a bad mistake. God forgive him. I forgive him. I'm upset about it, but we don't need to go after this kid, and we don't need to make this about race. But yet this guy thinks it's all about race. And I think it's because he's wanting more people to donate. That's
all
what I
of
really
the
think
people
it's about.
Who have claimed whatever their defense was, he should be afforded the same right. Nobody in the public media has one video camera, but we got the video of Kyle Rittenhouse
of Kyle Rittenhouse. What's his name? Kyle Rittenhouse. He's from Wisconsin. He's not from the South. And let's talk about what that video evidence is. Oh, sorry.
AK-47 shooting 3 people in the back.
AK-47 shooting 3 people in the back. It was an AR-15. He shot 2 people, one in the face, one in the chest, and one in the bicep. 2 died, 1 did not die, and testified, and that's what actually won his case.
We got that, and he raised more than $2 million publicly, and nobody said.
Yeah, and every dime of it went to his attorneys, who he fired because they were grifting. Okay? That also happened. Let's talk about that. Kyle Rittenhouse fired his original attorneys because he felt like they were grifting. And then he hired another defense attorney who he didn't feel was grifting. Let's clarify that. And all of that money, I think for the most part, like 90% of that money went to his attorneys because he was charged exorbitant amount of money. And the reason he even said that he felt like his attorneys were grifting is because his attorneys could have gotten him out of jail sooner because they had enough money to pay his bail and they could have gotten him out sooner, but he felt like they were holding him in court themselves, or I mean in jail themselves, to gain more money to come in to the fundraising. And then he fired them.
Said anything?
What do you mean nobody said anything? People were calling Kyle Rittenhouse a racist and a white supremacist and all of these crazy things. As a matter of fact, he sued CNN, didn't he? And he won millions of dollars from CNN for calling him those things. But you're right, actually, in some sense, you lunatic. Carmelo Anthony, the murderer in this case, he is deserving of the same exact rights as Kyle Rittenhouse and literally anyone who's accused of a crime. He is completely deserving of a free and fair trial and everything else. But it's not racist and bigoted to call out what happened. And by the way, if it happened the other way, you guys would be saying
Exactly. If it happened the other way around, they would be marching in the streets and torching their towns over the fact that a white kid hurt a black kid. That's what would be happening. And then, of course, they tout this kid in his suit and his tie and his jersey at school about what an amazing fellow he is. And this is the image that they put out, that it is on social media for Carmelo Anthony. Now, that looks like a toy gun. It doesn't look like a real gun to me, but, you know, he looks kind of creepy. He looks like a thug, or like he's trying to be a thug. He's trying to be, you know, it reminds me of that, oh, let me see if I can find that one. It is actually really funny, and it's kind of fitting to this. Let me look it up real quick. Oh, I have to actually look it up in Facebook, or I mean YouTube, or it's gonna come up with something else. Okay, here we go. Let's hopefully this one will pop up here real quick. I'm I think this is what's so funny is we have so many people that jump on these bandwagons, and you know, that kid wants to be cool. That kid wanted, so that gun that was in that picture to me looked fake. It did not look like a real gun. I think it was supposed to be an AK-47 or whatever, but it looks fake. It looks plastic. It looks fake. That's my opinion. It looks fake.
Oh, sweet.
You say something, Frodo?
No, I was just saying how that guy shacked you over there. We got 2 on 2, right?
Look, why don't you find an under 2 foot lead?
Why don't you trade that thing in on top of your neck for a base?
I'm gonna floss you over here.
Let's go, man. Bring it. Come on.
Yo, my mobile homeboys. What's tripping in the wood?
This termite belong to you?
Yo, my man C. Easy. This my man C. He's small but ferocious. But you dogs, you're hardcore. Where you from?
Scottsdale.
Scottsdale, in the zone of y'all. That's a hardcore hood. But if you want to take on my man C here, go ahead, because, you know, he's fierce. He's going to come up in your face. He's going to major damage you. You're going to walk away, maybe limp. But I say talk to the hand called waiting, because he's out. Boy, is out. I can't restrain him, because I'm conversating you right now to give him a chance to cool down, to get back to a realistic level, as it were, because we could be chilling in our crib, not just on this mobile home thing, representing Malibu and Westwood, you know, mauling it like we all can, boys to mensch, pimp my Mercedes, call me back, put you on hold, you know what I'm saying?
We gotta go.
Mm-hmm. You better, man. Don't make me call my lawyer, because I'll audit.
Now, if that's not funny, I don't know what else is. I like that's hilarious. But the thing is, that is what we're dealing with here, is these perpetrators. So according to what I've seen and what I've read out there and the research I've been doing is his family, Carmelo's family, didn't live in a horrible neighborhood. They lived in a fairly decent house. I mean, there are claims right now that they're moved into like a $900,000 house or something. Whether it's accurate or not, I don't know. Um, but there are claims that they have, put out all this money, and the thing is it's about um it's about a narrative that they want to um put out there. Um they want to push this narrative, and they want to push that this kid was a white supremacist, that this kid was supposedly a racist, and that he had it coming to him just um uh because he was white, and that automatically equals white supremacist, Nazi, anti-Semitic, all this other stuff. And when and they showed him with a gun as well. And what bothers me when they show this kid with a gun in a picture is, come on. They show him with a gun. And they've showed several different ones. I'm gonna share this screen with you real quick. Let's see. All right. Okay, so look at this one here. Okay. Now they show him with a gun here. They show him with a gun here. They show him with a gun here. I don't know if these will open or not. Okay. But the difference is he is shown here with and it won't switch to these other ones that I'm pointing out. It'll only show this screen. So when they show him with a gun here, he's in camo, they're going hunting. I think there's a difference between that and the one that we saw before with Carmelo Anthony, and his little fake AK-47. And apparently there's another one of this boy. But there's also people that are coming out in defense of there's people coming out defending Metcalf that are trying to remind people of who he actually is, and it's people that were on his sports team, I guess. And I don't know. What I want people to do is I want to have people realize that there this whole thing is turning into race, lies, and money. That's really what it's coming out to. It's coming out to be something that is about money. Um And it's not even about facts, it's not about reality, it's not about, um it's about money. It's to me, it's like it's a grift. The whole stupid thing is a grift, and it's a grift by the, it's a grift by that attorney dude, it's a grift by his family, which is sad. But we've seen it. I mean, George Floyd's family admittedly had not seen him or been around him in a very long time, and he was a drug addict and everything else. But then you saw the pictures come out, and it was like, well, what he could have become. He could have become I think they had him in an astronaut suit, they had him in a doctor's like, he could have become a doctor. No, he couldn't. No, he couldn't. Let's listen to this last little bit here, and then we're gonna move on to the other Dear Margarets, and then we will continue and finish these Dear Margaret.
Austin is not who.
Hold on, I guess there's no volume.
Austin is not who the black community is saying he is, or his family, because one of his teammates is actually black. A lot of his teammates are black. So we know it wasn't a racial thing. He has black people all over his ex, right? He shares their posts. That's not the signs of a racist kid. Most kids aren't racist. I've taught high school. They play around. They mess with each other. But that's not a reason to kill somebody. I taught my kids the right way. And what we taught our kids is that nonviolence is never the answer. You never use somebody, you go tell a teacher.
He just said nonviolence is not the answer. I think he meant violence is not the answer, not nonviolence.
What normal, civilized people, but we act like a bunch of thugs in the African American community, a lot of criminals, like we are, like uncivilized animals. And I said it. But the teammate of Austin comes out and says that they're lying on him, that he was a great player, that he was an amazing kid, he wasn't a racist, and comes to his defense. This makes me more mad every time I look at this, see something like this. This was Austin Metcalf's last words on X. Did this look like a words of a racist? And if you look at his Facebook, his X page, full of black people, full of black teammates he shared their posts. He played around black people. He loved black people.
That's part of the problem is they want to push this narrative because they're hoping that it gets really popular with they're hoping it gets really popular with the people who would be selected on a jury pool. That's what they're hoping for. And that they will automatically go into this narrative that he was a racist, therefore he is not guilty. Because Austin Metcalf was a racist, so he's not guilty. That's not how it should go. That's not how that's not how it's gonna go. They're gonna follow the law, hopefully. I hope they follow the law. Anyway, let's get to our other Dear Margarets. Dear Margaret, a group of women soared to the edge of space with Blue Origin, celebrated as pioneers for women in aerospace. But this pricey, I can't even speak. This pricey suborbital jaunt barely crossed the Kármán line, feeling more like a luxury stunt than a giant leap. Do these trips truly break barriers, or are they just a way for the elite to buy a space traveler badge while the rest of us stay grounded? Signed, Curious from Earth, your stargazing skeptic. Well, the reality is, as we talked about in the first part, you're right. They just went to the Kármán line, which is 62 miles above the Earth, and they went just slightly over that, which is 62 miles. It's 100 kilometers at the Kármán line, which is 62 miles, and they didn't go that much further over it. They just kind of popped over it, and that is where they got weightlessness. I can't even speak. But there is nothing about this that made them astronauts. They were space travelers. They were space passengers, but they were not space astronauts in any way, shape, or form. That's my opinion, and that's what the consensus seems to be. They were not. They were not what they're not heroes. They didn't perform some amazing task or something. they just were able to buy a seat. They didn't break any barriers. There are women astronauts that actually broke barriers because they're astronauts. When they talk about the training, I want to throw up in my mouth because the training consisted of 2 days to learn how to get in and get out and learn the word ingress and egress and to put on your seatbelt. Okay. You learn that every time you get in and out of your car. So that to me bothers me as a woman. Don't claim to be a hero when you're not. Don't claim to be something you're not. You're not an astronaut. All right, let's get to our next one. And by the way, I really do appreciate these Dear Margarets that get sent to me. You can email your question that you want to be read on Dear Margaret at dearmarg, DearMarg at GurlTauX.com. Remember that spelled GurlTauX because we're going to talk about it like we're doing right now. So this next Dear Margaret, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, deported from Maryland to El Salvador, faces allegations of MS-13 ties and domestic violence with his wife's 2021 protective order, and there were 2, by the way, painting him as order painting a troubling picture. Democrats, led by Senator Chris Van Hollen, are fighting to reverse his deportation, citing a Supreme Court ruling. With 56% of Americans backing deportations, why are Democrats dying on this hill? And what message does it send to voters who value safety? Baffled by the battle, your concerned citizen. Well, the other part of that I'm concerned with is what about the victims of these gang members? What about the victims that have been suffering with the loss of their family members? What about the families of these victims who are now facing their lives without them? What about the mom of the daughter who was killed, the mother of 5? And she had a speech. It broke my heart. This mother spoke out about her daughter who was murdered. And these other people act like this MS-13 gang member that was deported. He's an El Salvadorian. He's not an American. And even Governor Van Hollen, or Senator Van Hollen, sorry. Senator Van Hollen even said, accidentally started to call him an American in one of his interviews. But what about Rachel Morin? You know, she's the mom that just did her speech about her daughter's death. But they don't talk about that. They don't talk about any of them. They don't talk about these people. And that is so much more devastating. And we have to keep the reality. And an MS-13 gang member, I don't care when, because this is the thing with gangs, and this is what they have to understand, and this is what needs to be really clarified, is gang members, actual gang members, MS-13, they get tattooed. They don't get a card when they join the gang. As Dave Rubin said, Bob, get the laminator and get his card put together. He's now going to be part of the gang. That's not how it's done. They're branded. They're branded with tattoos. And those tattoos are a depiction of what they feel. And when he said, when the senator came back and he said, with a tear in his eye, and he went like this, I was like, oh, you mean the one that's tattooed on his face for murder? Because that's what they get a teardrop for. Now, if it's an outline of a teardrop, I believe that means they caused physical bodily harm to somebody, they assaulted someone. If it's colored in, it's murder. they killed someone. And the number of teardrops tells you how many people they killed. I think he only has one, but regardless. And then his wife has filed twice for domestic violence charges and got an order of protection. Now all of a sudden he's father of the year and husband of the decade. And she said, from what I understand, when I listened to her talk about him, it really bothered me because her speech, I dug it apart in the aspect of what she actually said, because there was something troubling in her speech. Let me find that real quick. Let me see if I now this is not the one. I think it was before that. I'm probably not going to find it because I think it's no, it's not this one. Let me see if this is.
Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer. I am Kilmer's wife. He is a father, a son, a brother, and a proud member of CASA and SMART Union member who has dedicated himself to make our family's American dream reality. That dream was shattered.
Whoops.
On March 12th, when he was abducted and disappeared by the United States government.
Okay, first of all,
our 5-year-old child.
First of all, I hate when they.
I am Kilmer's wife.
I hate when they say disappeared because he wasn't disappeared. We know where he is. He's in El Salvador, honey. He's not disappeared.
Brother and a proud member of CASA and SMART Union member who has dedicated himself to make our family's American dream reality.
Well, she caught herself by saying
that dream
life.
was shattered on March 12th when he was abducted and disappeared by the United
Disappeared. Again, disappeared means you don't know where he is, and you know where he is. He's in El Salvador.
United States government in front of our 5-year-old child. Today is 34 days after his disappearance. And
he hasn't disappeared. They sent him to El Salvador where he's from.
You filled with spirit that refuses to bring down. I will not stop fighting until I see my husband alive.
Until she sees him alive, like she thinks he's been murdered. They didn't take him and kill him. They sent him back where he's from, where he illegally came into our country. That is that is where he's from. I don't get it. I just I'm trying to find this this specific line that she said, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. What bothered me about this one, and I may have to look for it later, but is she understands he's a good father. And she understands, and the way she said it, I understand he's a good father and husband, as if she's been told to read what it is.
Good afternoon, everybody.
She is supposed to.
President Trump campaign.
Sorry. sometimes the computer has a mind of its own, I tell you what. But when you say words like, I understand, and she was reading it, it's my understanding, I think is what she said. He is a good father and husband. And I'm like, so you had to read that? You don't know that he's a good father? You know, like you had to be told what to say. That is what bothers me the most. And they are dying on this hill, but it's killing the Democrat Party. So I guess let them. I don't know. Next, Dear Margaret. Dear Margaret, Democrats keep trotting out Joe Biden as their leader despite his obvious cognitive struggles, with some calling it cruel to exploit a man with dementia for political gain. It's not just a bad look, it feels downright heartless. Why hasn't the party pivoted to new blood? And what does this say about their ethics when voters clearly wanted a fresh start in 2024? Signed, Troubled by the tactics, your moral compass. Well, I have to say, the only thing I can say about that is it's disgusting. He shouldn't be paid for speeches and he shouldn't be going and doing speeches. His favorite place is on the beach in a lounge chair napping. That's where he should be, and that's where he should enjoy the rest of his life with his friends and family and say la vie. He doesn't need to go out on speech tours. He's got plenty of money. Plenty of laundered money, whatever. He doesn't need it. That's my opinion. That one's short. Dear Margaret, AOC and Bernie Sanders are on a fighting oligarchy tour, railing against wealth while reportedly zipping around on a private jet that costs $15,000 an hour. How did they How did they square this hypocrisy with their anti-elite rhetoric? While their supporters shrug off the contradiction, or is it this crack in their credibility as champions of the working class? Signed, Flummoxed by the flyover, your grounded observer. So it is kind of amusing to me how they're on their fighting oligarchy tour. And if you've noticed, Bernie has stopped using the millionaires statement, and it's all about billionaires now, because he doesn't use the millionaires anymore because he is one of the millionaires now, and so is AOC. So they got to go with the billionaires now, going after the billionaire oligarchies while they tout off in their jet. And where did he go speak? Coachella. Coachella's tickets are like $600 a person, and it's filled with nothing but a bunch of rich ass kids. Do you think they give a shit? You know, I mean, they don't give a shit. Most of them are probably smoking dope going like, dude, you're at Coachella, man. Like, you're at the wrong place. Like, we're all rich. And I don't want anybody taking my money or my weed or my iPhone or my iWatch or whatever else, and they're staying in luxury hotels at Coachella. Are you fucking kidding me? You should be out at Burning Man, where the people run around in their nothings and their bare feet and the dirt and all that sand dirt up in their cachuchis and everywhere else. Go there and speak about your oligarchy. Oh, wait, it's probably too dirty for you there. That's the reality of that one. All right, well, let's go on. I don't think that they can be leaders in the party, first of all, because they're too radical for the other. They're too radical for their voters. So I don't think that they are going to get very far with that. That's my opinion. I don't think they're going to get very far with that. Anyway, let's go to the next one real quick here. Dear Margaret, Senator Chris Van Hollen, not the Maryland governor. He's not the Maryland governor. He is the senator. Used taxpayers' dollars to jet to El Salvador to defend Kilmar Abrigo Garcia, labeled as MS-13 member by the Trump administration. I want to clarify, he has not been labeled an MS-13 by the Trump administration. He was labeled in a 2019 and 2021 judging by a judge that he is MS-13. a deportation judge that did deem him an MS-13. And part of that decision for his deportation, and then they put a stay that he couldn't go to El Salvador at the time, was his own statement that I can't go back to El Salvador because I will be attacked by a rival being the key word, gang member. Okay? All right. Anyway, we got 6 minutes. Let's finish this. So her question is, member of the Trump administration. He was labeled an MS-13 member by the Trump administration, and to clarify, like I said, it was a judge who officially put that. Despite Garcia's alleged domestic violence and gang ties, Van Hollen claims there's no proof. Is it right to suspend public funds on this cause, especially when victims like Rachel Morin's family feel sidelined by their own senator? Outraged by the outlay, your taxpayers advocate. Absolutely. I think it's really sickening and it's really disgusting. And when he was asked when he got back, did you ask him if he was MS-13? He's like, no, I didn't ask that because, like, I don't want to know. I don't care. I'm just standing on this hill because I feel like it's a hill I need to stand on because I think there's enough people that support this. And my own constituents, so I don't give a shit about you. Come on. There's nothing to see here, people. Move on. Move along. Gang members passing through. Move along. Disgusting. Yeah, and they should not be spending government money on it. That is absolutely, if he wants to do this bullshit, it should be on his own dime and he should be charged for misuse of government funds. That's my opinion. Dear Margaret, the Carmelo Anthony case is a misinformation minefield, with social media buzzing about his family's supposed lavish $800,000 home and private security claims their attorney says are false. Meanwhile, groups like Protect White Americans are stoking racial fires with planned protests. Why do these lies spread like wildfire, and how can we stick to the facts in such a heated mess? Lost in the static, your clarity crusader. I think it is important that we look at the facts, and I think it's important that we see the facts as they are. Officer Tatum did point out the fact that they may not have used donated funds on the Give, Send, Go yet, but as Officer Tatum says, they've donated to different organizations and different people for different things. And wealthy people, if they're in it for the cause or whatever, they can just write you a check. They can just give you money. So there's when the mom said in her interview, we have not used any money from that Give, Send, Go. She specifically said Give, Send, Go fund. She didn't say we haven't been given other money. And there is no proof yet that they bought the things, but I think it's coming out that they did buy a vehicle, maybe for his security because it was a big SUV or something like that. I don't know. But I think it's disgusting to make money off of your son's murder. That to me is a little bit disgusting. And I'm sorry, justice for Carmelo is also disgusting because he is not the victim here. He will get justice. It may not be the justice you want, but if they follow the law and he's charged and he is sentenced and he is tried and he's sentenced, the best thing that boy could do is take a plea bargain. That is the best, because he may get life if he goes for a trial. Because I don't think you're going to find a full jury out there that is going to be on the side of your grifting family. Sorry. I hope not, especially in Texas. You're going to find it hard pressed. Anyway, I think this is our last one, maybe. Dear Margaret, Democrats are digging in on issues like defending Kilmar, Abrego Garcia, and popping up Biden, while MAGA folks rage over Carmelo Anthony's bond release, with figures like Charlie Kirk framing it as racial injustice. Even with border crossings down 94% in March 2025, both sides are entrenched. Why are we so divided, and how do we stop this spiral towards extremism and race war? Hoping for harmony, your bridge building dreamer. Okay, that is a great one to end with, because it is so important that we follow facts and not feelings on these cases. And we really need to let this case of Anthony and Metcalf play out in the court, not in the media, not in social media. We are not the judge and jury. We have not been selected on the jury pool. I think they need to be suppressed during the whole case, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be very touchy. I don't think we should have race riots and protests like White Americans Unite and America White Justice. We don't need that stuff. We need Americans Unite. We need to stop with the white and black, like pop and politics. Their picture on their coffee cup and their t-shirt, their shirts you can buy from them say not black. Black is lined out, white is lined out, American. Not white, not black, Americans. That's where we need to stand our ground. We need to stand our grounds as Americans. And when it comes to the deportation, it needs to be based on the law. And I don't think we should be jumping the gun on anything. And sure, due process, that's fine. But we can't have every single one of them going before a judge in a courtroom. We'll be here 26 years trying to deport 15 million people. But if they ask for habeas, then they should get habeas. And I think it can be done while they're in detainment. Either prior to or even after deportation. If they go to a court, say in El Salvador with this Kilmar Garcia, he can get his due process. He can see a judge, he can see a court, and if he hasn't been convicted of any other crime and he hasn't done any other crime that they can prove, then he could just be released in El Salvador. And he can live his life out in El Salvador. His wife is welcome to join him. That's my opinion. That's where I come from. Whatever. I have my own opinions, my own feelings. That is it for our show. Again, if you have any questions for Dear Margaret, please email them to dearmarg, DEARMARG @GurlTauX.com. Or if you have any questions for me, you can email me at Tori, TORI, @GurlTauX.com. Again, that's GURLTAUX. And please, thank you for coming to the show. And please remember to like, subscribe, follow, and share this with your other friends and family. I am trying to grow my channel. It is very small right now because we are only on 100 episodes. So 101 today. So we are continuing to get more and more as we go. And we are growing very little, but we are growing little by little. And I love every single person who does subscribe and the people that do come and watch every day. I am getting more of a regular where I do have a few more people watching the full show and staying on. But please like and subscribe and join my channel, join my tribe. And it's where we get real, we get raw, and we don't hold back our feelings. And I am just one of the many of you that is just an American that pays attention, does their research, and watches what is happening, and get disgusted by things when they're wrong. But I also get disgusted by things when they're misconstrued and they're being touted incorrectly. I want to correct what is being pushed out for a specific narrative. Let's stick to the facts, man. stick to the facts. But again, remember to like, follow, and subscribe. And again, thank you for being here. See you tomorrow.
Thank you for watching Gurl TauX live broadcast, which airs weekdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget to send in your Dear Margaret questions. Then join us for our opinion-based answers. We love having you. Thanks for taking the time to be with us tonight. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share with your friends. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night. Good night.
Good night.